The Law and You, a look at laws in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which affect our daily lives. The Law and You, presented by lawyer panel P.R Campbell QC and brought to you on SVG-TV as a public service.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, greetings. Welcome to another presentation in this public service nation-building series, The Law and You. This is program number 894, coming to you on Monday the 12th of March 2018. On this program I will speak to you on the topic Justice Adrian Saunders, President of the Caribbean Court of Justice. But before getting into the topic, a few brief preliminary remarks. Firstly, my condolences go out to all families which have suffered recent bereavements. Secondly, as you know, in 2 days' time we will be celebrating National Heroes Day, which will be Wednesday the 14th of March. I therefore take the opportunity to wish us all a meaningful National Heroes Day in whatever form we chose to celebrate it. Now for the topic of the evening, Justice Adrian Saunders, President of the Caribbean Court of Justice. Let me congratulate in the most fulsome manner Justice Adrian Saunders on this recent appointment, and I dare say he has now reached the pinnacle of his legal career in the Caribbean, in that he was first a lawyer in our system, as I will read out his bio. Then he rose to become a judge. Then he went on the Court of Appeal. Then he was acting Chief Justice. Then he went to Trinidad as a member of the Caribbean Court of Justice, and now appointed at the top. A remarkable achievement for a brilliant son of the soil. But let me take the privilege of reading for you the extract that was published by Eyewitness News yesterday, and I will read it verbatim. Quote, Vincentian Judge Justice Adrian Saunders will replace outgoing President Sir Dennis Byron at the helm of the Trinidad-based Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ. Sir Dennis made the announcement at the 10th CCJ International Law Moot Competition in Trinidad on Friday. Saunders will become the third president of the court, and let me say parenthetically, the second one from the OECS, the first from the OECS being Sir Dennis, whom he is replacing, which was established in 2001 to replace the London-based Privy Council as the region's final court. Saunders holds a Bachelor of Laws degree from the University of the West Indies, Cave Hill in 1975 and the Legal Education Certificate of the Hugh Wooding Law School in Trinidad and Tobago in 1977. He was called to the bar of St. Vincent and the Grenadines in that same year. He remained in private practice as a barrister and solicitor from 1977 until 1996, at which time he was the senior partner in the firm of Saunders and Huggins. In 1996, Saunders was appointed as a judge of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court and in 2003, he was confirmed as a Justice of Appeal of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. 1 year later, he was appointed to act as Chief Justice of that court. In 2001, Saunders was sworn in as a judge of the Caribbean Court of Justice. During the period of his tenure as a judge in the Eastern Caribbean, Saunders was deeply involved in judicial education and judicial reform issues. He chaired the committee established to introduce court-connected mediation in the Eastern Caribbean. As chairman of the Ethics Committee of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, he presided over the production of a code of ethics for judges of the Eastern Caribbean. He also served as chairman of the Judicial Educational Institute of the ECSC from 2001 to 2004. He regularly participates in judicial education programs for judges from throughout the Commonwealth as a faculty member of the Halifax-based Commonwealth Judicial Education Institute. Saunders has written and published several legal articles, and he is a consulting editor of the Caribbean Civil Court Practice. He is married to Marilyn Angeline Jocelyn from Dominica and has 2 sons, Yuri and Yannick. Now, I am exceedingly proud of Justice Adrian Saunders. He has a finely honed intellect and is nothing but brilliant as a jurist. Indeed, when he was at the bar, he was heading for the accolade of Queen's Counsel if he hadn't gone to the bench. And one of the things that endears me to Justice Saunders is that he returns regularly to St. Vincent and the Grenadines to share his legal wisdom with the profession and, on occasion, with the general public. Justice Saunders has become head of the court which has replaced the Privy Council in several Caribbean jurisdictions. The CCJ, based in Trinidad and Tobago, which ironically has not yet acceded to the appellate jurisdiction of the CCJ, but the CCJ handles final appeals from Guyana, Barbados, Belize, and for many years those were the only 3 territories, and then lately from Dominica, and St. Lucia is heading that way as well. I think in due course, Grenada and Antigua are likely to join the CCJ because the governments of those countries have indicated their intention to do the necessary legal procedures at home, including the holding of referenda, to prepare the way for the CCJ to take over from the Privy Council. Now, excuse me. Let me repeat for those who perhaps are not aware that all the countries which belong to CARICOM are automatically members of the CCJ because the CCJ is the only court which has the responsibility to interpret the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. And all CARICOM states have acceded to the Treaty of Chaguaramas. So that jurisdiction of the CCJ is automatic and compulsory. If St. Vincent and the Grenadines has a legal issue with any other territory in CARICOM calling for the interpretation of the Treaty of Chaguaramas, we have to go to the CCJ because the CCJ is the only court which is authorized to handle disputes arising from the Treaty of Chaguaramas. But when it comes to domestic appeals, that is, appeals within each state in CARICOM, then for the majority of states, the Privy Council is the highest court. While for those states I have mentioned before, Guyana, Barbados, Belize, Dominica, and in time, St. Lucia, Grenada, hopefully, and Antigua and Barbuda, those countries which now send appeals to the CCJ are sending appeals to the CCJ instead of sending appeals to the Privy Council in London. It has become, from morning, it was a matter of controversy among persons who debate these issues as to whether it is proper for us to continue with the Privy Council now that we have our own Caribbean court. Well, opinion is divided on that, and from time to time I have spoken on the subject. When we had our referendum exercise in St. Vincent and Grenadines in 2009, one of the articles in the proposed new constitution had to do with replacing the Privy Council with the Caribbean Court of Justice. The referendum failed, and so we here in this country send our final appeals to the Privy Council. But our legal disputes concerning the CARICOM Treaty have to go before the CCJ. I'm not aware that St. Vincent and Grenadines has filed any dispute with any other country, nor am I aware that any business persons or firm in St. Vincent and Grenadines has gone to the CCJ over the interpretation of the CARICOM Treaty. Let us hope that in the course of Justice Saunders' tenure, which will be for 7 years, and the arrangements in the CCJ is that a president is appointed for 7 years. At the end of the 7 years, he cannot be extended, except for 3 months to allow him to complete unwritten judgments. So there is going to be a compulsory rotation, of the leadership of the CCJ. Excuse me. So, our Justice Adrian Saunders distinguished himself both as a judge, as a member of the Court of Appeal of the OECS, or the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, Court of Appeal. He distinguished himself as acting Chief Justice, and indeed, he has distinguished himself as a member of the CCJ. I am sure he will continue to distinguish himself as the president of the CCJ. But I have brought along with me this evening to share with you just one of the many judgments written by Justice Saunders, which has earmarked his expertise as a jurist and a progressive thinker. Of course, those of us in St. Vincent and Grenadines who knew Justice Saunders before he went to study law and subsequently as a barrister would recall that he was always one of the most progressive intellectuals in this country. He associated himself with all progressive causes and was never afraid to speak out. But there was one judgment he delivered which has stood out in my mind, and judging by the frequency with which this judgment is quoted by the judges of the Eastern Caribbean, this judgment has also stood out in the minds of other jurists. It is in a case from the British Virgin Islands called Stonich versus Stonich. I don't know if my pronunciation is correct, but it's spelled S-T-O-N-I-C-H versus S-T-O-N-I-C-H. The judgment was delivered in September 2003. It was a judgment in a matrimonial case. And I want for the rest of this program to read to you a few paragraphs from that judgment written by Justice Saunders, which has been hailed as a landmark ruling, certainly in the Eastern Caribbean. I begin at paragraph 27 of the judgment. Quote, and this is Justice Saunders' ruling in that case when he was on the Court of Appeal. Quote, one of the useful features of the matrimonial proceedings and the Property Act is that it gives the court a broad discretion in apportioning assets built up over the course of the marriage. The ultimate and overriding objective that the court must strive at is fairness. In apportioning the assets, the court must consider the various factors the legislature has asked it to take into account, and then arrive at a solution that is, in all the circumstances, fair to the parties. The wide discretion available permits the court the ability to interpret fairness in light of prevailing societal standards. Paragraph 28. In assessing the respective contributions of husband and wife, there was a time when one regarded the fruits of the money earner to be more valuable, more important than the child rearing and homemaking responsibilities of a wife and mother. If the man was reasonably successful at his job and the family fortunes were vastly improved, his contribution was almost automatically treated as being greater than that of the wife who remained at home. Ironically, if the man's business failed, whether through bad luck or ineptitude, the wife invariably shared equally the couple's hard times. Justice Saunders ruled in paragraph 29. The court should not pay too much regard to a contribution merely because it is easily quantifiable in hard currency, and too little to a contribution that is less measurable but equally important in the family structure. In the vast majority of cases where these two types of contributions are in issue, that of a homemaker and that of an income earner, it is the wife who has stayed at home while the husband has performed the role of breadwinner. There is therefore an element of gender discrimination in disregarding the woman's role in the home. Justice Saunders ruled in paragraph 30. The Matrimonial Proceedings and Property Act does not rank in any order of preference any of the factors to which the courts are obliged to have regard. It is for the court to consider all of them. In one case, the facts and circumstances may call for a particular factor to be given special importance. In another case, another factor may assume more significance. The point is that there is no basis in law for courts to regard always as decisive or of special importance the financial contribution made by a party to the welfare of the family. In the normal course of things, any such contribution should be weighed in the same scales as a contribution of a different nature. Spouses may choose to perform different roles in a marriage. If the husband's skill, initiative, hard work, and drive yield handsome financial rewards, it is entirely unfair to regard those rewards as being any greater in value than those of a wife who might have employed equal skill, initiative, and dedication at home, bringing up the children and keeping a stable household. In such a case, wrote Justice Saunders, I see no reason why the assets acquired during the marriage ought not to be equally divided. As Lord Nichols states, each in their different spheres contributed equally to the family, and as a general guide, equality in the distribution of matrimonial assets should be departed from only if and to the extent that there is good reason for it. Now, that dictum by Justice Saunders is quoted frequently in the law courts because, as Justice Saunders pointed out, when a couple divorced, invariably in the past, the husband, if he was the breadwinner, the one who actually brought in a salary, his contribution to the family was regarded as greater than that of the wife who was just a mother and homemaker. But Justice Saunders, as you would have listened to me read, he said, no. A man's contribution as income earner should be regarded as no greater than a woman's contribution as mother and housewife. And therefore, he is saying that unless you have a special reason or special reasons for doing otherwise, their contribution should be regarded as having equal weight. So Justice Adrian Saunders made it clear that the old-time thinking, which gave precedence to the income earning capacities of a man, would have to change to take into account that a wife's contribution to the home as homemaker is of equal importance. So that for those of you men who feel that because you're the one bringing in salary and money terms, you should get more than your wife if you're all divorced, because all your wife did was bring up children, Justice Saunders said, no. Taking care of a home, the duties of a mother and wife, looking after a household, are equally important. So Stonage and Stonage is a landmark decision for which Justice Saunders will always be remembered. But he has had several landmark decisions. He is truly an intellectual giant when it comes to the law. And once again, on behalf of myself and my chambers, I congratulate him on reaching the pinnacle. You can't go higher in the legal career in the Caribbean. The presidency of the Caribbean Court of Justice is the highest judicial position in the Commonwealth Caribbean, and Justice Saunders has been appointed to that position. Congratulations, my learned brother. So that is all from this program of The Law and You, program number 894. I look forward to being of further service to you next week, Monday, DV, and I do apologize that I wasn't able to come out on the program last week, Monday. I'm a bit better this week, but thank God for sparing mercies. So until next Monday, DV, may the good Lord continue to bless us all.
The Law and You, a look at laws in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which affect our daily lives. The Law and You, presented by lawyer panel P.R Campbell QC and brought to you on SVG-TV as a public service.